I believe in me.
I believe in me.
I believe in you.
I believe in you.
Stand strong. You are powerful.
Stand strong. You are inspiring.
We are fighters. We are ambitious.
We are extraordinary. We are conquerors. Simply straight talk, our voices will be heard.
This is Simply Straight Talk. Tune in now, you don't want to miss out. Real conversation, plenty motivation. Keep you thinking and still entertaining. Yeah, I know that you'll enjoy the mottos free. Your voice is your choice. Hosted by Reggie B, but you already know. And you gotta check them out and how we roll. Hey, ain't nothing off the table. Give it to you straight. Changing your mindset, talking past mistakes. You ain't gotta wait, time to take off. This is Simply Straight Talk.
Hello, everyone. It's Simply Straight Talk time. Listen, what happens when people confuse money with happiness or hustling with self-fulfillment? There are 4 important necessities that you need in life, but if you don't know what they are, then you might find yourself constantly going in circles. Today's show has some wisdom you don't want to miss out on.
Welcome to the Simply Straight Talk podcast. I'm Melissa, a professional voiceover artist. If you're new to our podcast, we hope you find it motivational and fun because you're in the right place. We can't wait to share what we've learned about life with you. After all, you never know what Reggie's going to say. Stick around, the show is about to start.
What's up, people, and welcome to another episode of the Simply Straight Talk show. Listen, today we're going to talk about 4 important life necessities. 4. That's right. 4 important life necessities that we need to think about. And you got to make sure that you are implementing them and pursuing them the right way. Because right now, there's such, this whole world right now is just filled with conflict. And it's so easy to be misled and to pursue the wrong things and assume that these things are what you need to be happy. These things are the necessities that you need in life. So we want to talk about that today. And we want to talk about, number 1, the 4 life necessities you need. We're going to talk about going after them. We want to talk about misconceptions about them. And we want to talk about you because this is really about you. Now, as I list the 4 necessities in life that you need, one thing I want to remind you is this. Keep in mind, I want to apply this as general as possible because it relates to everybody. But I want you to keep in mind that everyone is going to have a different mindset when it comes to what it means to them. So keep that in mind, but also think about how this applies to you. What does this mean for you in your life? Because you have to think about you yourself. So when we get started in this, we already know that when you talk about the necessities of life, people talk about food, water, clothing, shelter, and sleep. Yes, those things are important. They are very important. But you can have all those things and still not have the emotional necessities you need in life. So we want to talk about those. We want to talk about them and kind of help and see if we can kind of guide people who may be a little lost, or some people who may be confused, some people on the fence. And I feel like a lot of people, because they don't seem to feel that they have the necessities they need, when in reality it's within their grasp, it's at their feet, but they don't know how to line things up. They don't know how to put everything in place so that it's working for them instead of against them. And that's what we want to structure this conversation about today. So to get this conversation started, the first thing we want to talk about when we talk about one of the 4 necessities, important life necessities you need, is going to be balance. Balance is so important, but it can be so hard to maintain, especially in this day and age, because we have more things that create more distractions in our lives, not only in your life, but these distractions also affect your children. It affects your husband, your wife, your friends, your relatives. It affects so much of your life. All of these distractions. So that's why it's important that you have to establish balance in your life to ensure that things are flowing in a manner that you have control. Not only physically, but emotionally, that you have control. Now, when we talk about balance, balance has been described as, having the flexibility to attend, major personal events, and then go home once your daily goals have been achieved and relax. So you're able to do the things you want to do, support other people, support your kids, support your wife, support your husband, but there's a balance in all that. But let's break that down even further, because when you are a young person and you're going to school, you might want to play football. You might want to be on the dance team. You might want to be on the debate team. You might want to do some extracurricular activity. Now, comes into play is you got to maintain your studying, because you got to keep your grades up. You got things you may have to do at home when it comes to your family. They may have chores for you to do. So all that has to be balanced so that you can do all of those things. Now, when you get into the adult world, it's a little more challenging for you, because as adults, you're looking for balance on the job. You're looking for balance in the relationship, spending time with your husband and wife, spending time with your kids, doing the things you need to do on the job, then spending time as a family, but then also having that balance to where you can have your time as well. And like I said, it can become so distracting and confusing, because a lot of times, by the time we go to work and come home, you're drained, you're tired. You really kind of want alone time, but you recognize that you still got to give some time to your wife, your girlfriend, your kids. You may have things you may have to do around the house. You may have friends or family members that you have to attend to. So it's important that you establish a balance, that you're able to do these things, but still maintain who you are as a person, maintaining yourself. Because if you're off balance, you're going to start to neglect yourself. Because most people, when they get unbalanced, they're giving so much of themselves to other people that they're not taking care of themselves physically and mentally. Other people may just become selfish and dedicate everything to themselves and totally neglect other people. You may have a wife who just decides, I worked all day, I'm tired, I want to go hang out with the girls, I want to do stuff with the girls, I don't want to deal with my husband, I don't want to deal with the kids. You can have a man who does the same thing. You can have kids who are at school all day, they hang around their friends, they are talked out, so by the time they get home, they don't want to tell their parents about their day. They're frustrated. They just want to be alone. And they're so caught up in their own that they forget about there are others. So that's why I say maintaining that balance is a challenge. But balance is one of the necessities that you need in life. And you have to understand the importance of establishing a balance, not only on your job, in your home, in your relationship with your friends, with your family, with your kids, with yourself, because you have to be balanced within yourself. Because if you're unable to balance your emotions, how you feel, what you think, what you say, you're going to be so off kilter that you're just going to lash out and go after everybody. So balance is important. And one way that you can start is by start prioritizing things, setting the timeline for when you do things, how things are done, and just really starting to plan things out a little more. Give a little leeway for change, but start planning things out so you become more organized, that you have a time structure for the things that you are doing. That can help you with maintaining balance in your life. Most of us just fly by the seat of our pants. Whatever comes that day, we do it. And then by the end of the day or the end of the week, when we're all crazy and angry at the world, we don't understand why. When the family wants to go out for the weekend and do things and go for a ride, You don't. You just want to sit in the house or find a room by yourself. So that's why balance is so important. Next is happiness. Now this is tough because happiness can be different for each individual, because what is happiness to me may not necessarily mean that it is happiness to you, because happiness is more of a feeling. It's a feeling of pleasure and positivity. When someone feels good, proud, excited, relieved, or satisfied about something, there's a sense of happiness. And that happiness is what you want in your life, is what you want in your relationship, is what you want on your job. And when people talk about happiness in the relationship, you can't just say, I'm happy. Happiness has to be with your wife is happy, your kids are happy. That's a part of your happiness. Because you can't walk around and say, I'm happy, despite the fact that the rest of your family is miserable. The wife can't say, well, I'm happy, I'm good, but the husband is struggling, the child is struggling. And the same thing for a husband, his wife, his kids. You can't be happy in a house with other people and you're the only one that's happy and everyone else is unhappy. So happiness is an essential part of life that you have to figure out, what is it that makes you happy? And part of that should be figuring out as well, what is it that makes the people in my life happy that are closest to me? Your wife, your kids. If you're single, then it's really more of a pressure reliever because your happiness really centers around you. You have a lot more control about who comes in your home, who you hang around, who you call a friend, because it's not the same as being married where you sort of have this living situation to where you can't really just say, it don't matter. In a marriage, you have to consider the other person's happiness. When you're single, it's all about you. And it's the same thing. How do you rate your happiness? What is it that makes you happy? Because a lot of times people rate happiness based on money. They base it on fame. They base it on success. But we've seen, and we've talked about this, that you have a lot of people out there who are celebrities, they're rich, they're famous, and they're still unhappy. They're committing suicide, fighting, acting out in anger. Your happiness has to come from within you. And what is it that takes you to a place of happiness? What makes you feel content? When are you content? These are the things you need to look at to determine your happiness. How can you set happiness in your home? What is it that will make your home feel more enjoyable, more peaceful, that will bring happiness to where when you walk in your house, you feel happy? When you leave work, you don't want to take that extra 3 to 5 miles to get home. You want to go home because home is happiness. So that's why I say it's different for each people. Some people's happiness is based on the fact that other people are happy for them. As far as those in a relationship, it's going home to a peaceful home. That's happiness to them. Going home to a loving wife, going home to a loving husband. You might have a girlfriend that calls you. That makes you happy. Being in a relationship can make you happy. A healthy relationship, of course. But these are the things you got to think about when it comes to happiness. What is it that makes you happy? Beyond the superficial things, beyond the fake things, what is it that makes you happy? I tell people, when I work, it's not about recognition. It's not about rewards. But it's more about the fact that if I do something, then I know that I've done something well. You see people that work in different fields. You got people that work in housekeeping. The fact that they clean, some of them take pride in the fact that when they hear someone just walking by say, man, their bathrooms are really clean. It makes that person feel happy because they did their job. They wasn't looking for that recognition, but somebody took notice of what they did and they just happened to hear it. But what is it that makes you happy? But you also can't answer that question until you start to get into the question of what things in my life make me unhappy that I am bringing into my life. What things am I introducing into my emotional state that is causing me to be unhappy? Am I holding on to old memories? Am I holding on to grief and loss and expecting other people to wallow in my grief and loss? Some people have lost people 10 or 15 years ago, and they're still drowning in that grief because they are unable to find happiness. Some people are still dealing with family issues, and they can't be happy. They cannot be happy because they're still mad at their sister, their brother, their aunt, or uncle for something that happened 10, 12, 15 years ago. What is it that you're holding on to that won't allow you to be happy? Are you in a relationship with somebody? Are you holding on to a grudge about something that's making that relationship unhappy? What is it? Because until you answer those questions, you cannot find your happiness. Because sometimes you have to let go of certain things in order to find the things that's going to bring you happiness. Part of having the happiness as an essential part of your life is removing the things that create unhappiness in you. And those are the things that you have brought into your life. Acknowledging the fact that this does not work. It has to change. But we're going to take a break and come right back and talk about two more things that are essential. Because I want you thinking about what's best for you, how you can make your life better. Don't be one of these people out here angry and just mad at the world. And, you got some people that go to jobs and they look to create chaos. They look to try to hurt and get other people fired and target other people. You got some people that do that. Don't be one of those people. Be happy. Be happy about your life. Find balance. People who look to create confusion and conflict in other people's life don't have balance in their life, so they want to take it out on other people. But we're going to take this break, like I said, because we're supposed to be on a break right now. We'll be right back after the break.
We'll be back with your host, Reggie, on Simply Straight Talk.
Hey, are you looking for some great music, upbeat and with a positive voice? Well, the song I Stand With You is exactly what you need. This timeless song has a pop version sung by Audrey Carmel. And a reggae version sung by General Steele, now known as Revelation.
Now I know some days you may feel blue, Lord. Trust in your greatness to see you through.
These songs are now available on iTunes and other digital platforms for download. Don't miss out. Get your copy today.
Give life your best, and I know.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, we're back with the second part of today's show. And man, today we're talking about 4 life necessities important. You need it. You got to have it. We're talking about it. Listen, I know that each of us deal with our own trials, our struggles and challenges, things that we have to deal with, family, friends, work, job. But these things are important. And we kind of hit on in the beginning of the show where we talked about how people sometimes sort of misunderstand what are the important necessities you need for life. And we already know, for those of you who just joining, yes, we talked about food, water, shelter, clothing, and all that. But we're talking about something that's a little bit deeper, because we're talking about the fact that you need these other four things. And in the first part of the show, we talked about balance in your life, balance between your job, your home, your friends, your family, your goals, your alone time. And we talked about happiness. What is happiness to you? What is it that you're bringing in your life that makes you happy? But also, what are the things in your life that you have allowed in that makes you unhappy? These are the things that we have to look at. Because when we talk about the necessities of life, anybody can get into the fact of money and power and fame. Because for some people will say, those are not really necessities. They're more of a need, or a want more. They're more of a want, but you need money. But fame, fortune, popularity, power, all that stuff is more of a want. And I think some people feel like that is necessity that they have put on themselves for what they want in life. They want fame. They want fortune. They want the popularity. They want to be the next big rapper. They want to be the next big athlete. They want the big house with the 12 cars. Those are the things that they have said that I want in my life. These are necessities. But as I said earlier, a lot of people have attained those things and they're not happy. They're just not happy, because happiness goes deeper than that. Balance requires a commitment and requires you to be organized. Happiness requires you to understand who you are and to recognize what it is that you are bringing in and out of your life. So next thing I want to talk about is peace. Now that may sound simple, like, yeah, come on, peace. We all know we need peace, but you got to understand how peace is important in your life, because having peace is good for your body mentally and physically. Because when you have peace in your life, there are things that you can just deal with on a whole nother level based on when your life is filled with chaos and conflict. Peace is a concept of friendship and harmony in the absence of hostility and a lack of conflict and freedom from fear. That's what peace is. That's what having peace is. Peace is when you can go home and you can just sit on your couch and just relax and you're not thinking about nothing. You're not worried. Peace is when you go to a job and you look forward to just doing your job. You're not looking over your shoulder. You're not looking at crazy emails. You're not wondering like which one of your coworkers trying to stab you in the back, or which one of your coworkers is jealous of you and now they want to talk about you. You're not really worried about things like that when you have peace in your life. Peace is being in a place of contentment no matter where you are. In your relationship, there's peace. Even when you might have a disagreement, you still have a feeling of peace about the relationship. Do you have that level of peace in your life that you can engage in a disagreement with somebody and still be at peace? Because you're not holding on to it. You're not angry. You're not bitter. Because you understand what it means to have peace. How important it is to have peace in your life. And a lot of people don't have peace. One, because of the people they bring into their life, the associations that they have allowed into their life. Some people just don't want peace. You ever met somebody that when you talk to them, every day they going through something, and every time they tell you what they're going through, it's the same thing for the past 20 years? Peace is so important because physically, it helps your body take away the stress, the anxiety, high blood pressure. You won't be overeating. You won't be oversleeping. Some people, to deal with stress is to oversleep, overeat. When you're in a state of peace, you don't try to find negative things to indulge in or things that are harmful to your body or harmful to your mind or your thoughts. So you have to find a way to bring peace into your life and ways to build on that peace. What is it that's trying to take away the peace in your life? When you are feeling peaceful, what is it that takes away that peace? You're in a peace of mind, you're smiling, you got the happiness going. Is it a phone call from a certain person? Is it a coworker that comes over there with drama? What is it? Is it a family member that's always complaining? What is it that takes away your peace? Is it you taking away your own peace? Could you be the reason you don't feel peace in your life? What is it about you within yourself that's preventing you from having peace in your life? Because some people can have peace, but they don't have peace because they want to blame everybody else for why they do not have peace in their life. That's the reason they don't have peace. They blame everybody else around them. But you only have that disturbance in your peace by what you allow in your life. Next is self-fulfillment. Now, self-fulfillment is the feeling of being happy and satisfied because you're doing something that fully uses your abilities and talents to accomplish things that are important to you. And I think people really find themselves when they feel like I'm doing something and this is a talent and I'm using it. This is something that I'm good at, an ability that I have and is helping someone, is helping me. Are you finding things in your life that's self-fulfilling to you? Are you doing things in your life that's self-fulfilling to you? Some people like to draw. Some people like to do art. Some people like to work in gardens. Some people like to mentor. Some people like to write poetry. Some people like to write music. What is it that gives you a sense of self-fulfillment when you do something? Is it going to a place and giving out food? Is it just being kind? What is it that gives you a sense of self-fulfillment? Doing good for others, helping others, volunteering? Your arts, your crafts, you're using your skill set for something you love, that you enjoy doing. What is it that gives you a sense of self-fulfillment? Because often we don't use or engage in the things that does make us feel self-fulfilled. Because right now, everybody is working on something and they're thinking, how can this help me financially? How can I benefit from this financially? Anytime you put a financial number on anything that's supposed to be self-fulfilling, you're taking away the fulfillment of it because now you're turning it into a job. Now you're turning it into something that's going to become work and not something you enjoy. So those are the things you have to think about. Self-fulfillment is important. You need that because when you do things that are self-fulfilling, it builds your confidence. It gives you a sense of presence, a sense of being. Self-fulfillment helps you to realize that you matter, that you have a place. Self-fulfillment creates in you, like I said, a strong sense of confidence, a strong sense of self-worth. So that's why it's important that you have self-fulfillment in your life. That you find those things that are self-fulfilling to you and you engage in those things. You actively participate in those things that are self-fulfilling. If you like painting and participating in an art class, do it. An acting class, do it. Writing, poetry, whatever it is. If it makes you feel self-fulfilled, do it. As long as it's not negative. Something that's going to create an addiction that is negative. That's not self-fulfilling, that's self-destructive. But these are the things that we need to look at. These are the things that we need to think about. So right now, I have just laid out to you 4 things that I have decided, from my personal preference, to be 4 important life necessities. And that was balance, happiness, peace, and self-fulfillment. All 4 of these things you need in your life, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're just girlfriend and boyfriend, whether you're on the job, you need these 4 things. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back with the final thoughts on today's show.
Free your mind, free your voice right here on Simply Straight Talk.
Hello, Simply Straight Talk family. If you are enjoying this episode, at the end of the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. And why not share this with a friend? Also, visit our blog at newlifenewmind.com, where you can find additional articles on more great topics. Stay tuned. The show will continue right after this message.
Are you ready for the straight truth? Reggie, what's the final word for today?
Hey, welcome back to the final word of today's show. Man, today we talked about 4 important life necessities. We talked about the things that you need to truly make the most out of your life and be your best. We talked about balance. Balance is so important as far as balancing time with family, balancing time with friends, balancing time on the job. It is important to understand balance and how it plays out in your life. When you are unable to balance relationships, work, home, it creates just such a feeling of just discontent about yourself and about others. You start to feel drained, you start to feel empty, and it affects your body, it affects your mindset. Because you can start seeing things in a negative way. You become easily frustrated and sick of people. Balance is something that you have to find in your life. And like I said, don't be afraid to sit down, take a look at the things in your life. Where are you spending a lot of time at? Is that time productive? Where are you lacking and need to spend more time? How can you improve upon that? Does your wife need more time? Does your husband need more time? Do your kids need more time? Does the family as a whole need more time together? You need to find that balance. You cannot let your job take all your balance. You cannot let people who are not truly caring about you consume your time and create imbalance in your life. We also talked about happiness. Happiness is something else that's really important, and it's key to understand that happiness is going to be different from each individual, because what makes me happy may not make somebody else happy. And I think a lot of people run into this problem, especially people going into relationships, because they seem to generalize what makes one man happy will make other men happy. And they think that you can categorize that for everybody. And we also see that as well with, guys. Every woman is going to have her own level of things that make her happy. So the happiness is an individual thing. So what is it that makes you happy? What is it that you enjoy, that gives you pleasure and is positive? Something that makes you feel good, excited, and proud of yourself. You got to find your happiness. And you have to understand something, that if you are in a home and you live with other people, that happiness needs to be something that's between all of you. Everybody has to find that happiness within themselves, and then they can share with others. But happiness is something you need to find in your life. Nobody wants to be happy at 5 o'clock, then sad at 2 o'clock, upset at 8 o'clock. Then by the time they go to bed, they're sort of happy, then they're mad when they get up in the morning. That type of inconsistency creates high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and negative things that you do to try to counter it. Next, we talked about peace. Peace is something else that we really need to think about. What is it in your life that gives you peace, that makes you feel that peace? And then think about the things that actually takes away your peace. Are there people in your life that when you hear their voice, it actually turns your peace off? Are there people that create discontent and unhappiness? People that make your peace just go away? Because that's what some people like to do. When they see you're peaceful, it is their goal to create chaos. So keep your peace. First, figure out, when are you peaceful? Are you peaceful outside? Are you peaceful when you're doing certain activities? Are you peaceful when you're relaxing? And then figure out as well, what is it that takes away your peace? Are there certain things or certain people that makes you feel like, my peace just walked out? You got to figure that out. Last we talked about self-fulfillment. The feeling of being happy and satisfied because you're doing something that fully utilizes your ability and talents. What is it that you do that makes you feel self-fulfilled? Do you enjoy volunteering? I mentioned all of that earlier. Volunteering, writing, a business. What is it that makes you feel self-fulfilled? These are the things you need to be actively engaging in. And it's important that you do feel self-fulfilled. It's a sense of self-worth. It's a sense of self-confidence. And also determine who is it that takes away your sense of self-fulfillment. And how are you going to maintain it? That is the key thing here. It's finding a way to be consistent in maintaining a balance in your life, consistent in finding your happiness, consistent in having peace in your life, and consistent in finding and doing things that are self-fulfilling to you. These things matter because it's your life. These things matter. Listen, that is today's show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Listen, please share this with somebody else. Sit down with other people and have a discussion. I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Let me know, are there any other things you feel that are important life necessities that need to be added? Do you feel money is more important over the things that I've mentioned? Share your thoughts, share your feedback. Tell me about the show. I want to hear, all right? Hey, this is the Simply Straight Talk Show. This is Reggie, and I will see you next Friday.
That's it for this week's episode of the Simply Straight Talk podcast. Be sure to sign up to our email list at simplystraighttalk.com and follow us in your favorite podcast app so that you don't miss our next episode. Wishing you a wonderful day from the Simply Straight Talk crew.
Simply Straight Talk with your host Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, all right here. Oh, Simply Straight Talk.